2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Apologies to those trying to watch us on our webcam. Apparently, we were accidentally broadcasting on Cody O'Connor's channel from last night's Off the Air Live, so we're now where we should be at cam.freetalklive.com. But luckily, we have all kinds of other ways that you can listen to the show and watch the show. There's a LRN.FM live stream, which would have been uninterrupted. That thing's going 24/7, and we're on there when we're live. There's, of course, the LRN listening apps for Android and iOS. You can listen to our live streams through any old listening device that can tune an MP3 stream, plus the TuneIn app, plus over 160 radio stations from coast to coast at various different times throughout the week, 2 satellite channels, and lots of different options, plus a number of internet affiliates that pick up the show, pirate radio stations, and probably some other stuff I'm forgetting. Oh, yeah, some cable TV stations, too. So we got a lot of ways for you to listen to Free Talk Live. You can go and get the full affiliates list over at freetalklive.com anytime you want. And, of course, there's people listening later via the podcast as well, and downloadable archives, all for free at freetalklive.com. So head over there and enjoy all of that. With you here tonight, it's Ian,
Jonny Ray,
and Darryl.
We're back going to your calls and thoughts. But Darryl, you actually did pull up the number that I was curious about.
Yes.
And I'm wondering how you found it. Was it on Yes Independence?
It's on the yescalifornia.com website in their Blue Book. And I did a search for the word billion because I knew that it would be billions.
In the billions, for sure.
And they say that on average, California loses about $16 billion each year.
To the federal government.
To the feds. And let me tell you how they come to that figure.
All right.
In 2014, which as of the time that they published this was the last year for which data was available, Californians collectively paid $369.2 billion in federal taxes, and people and companies in California received $355.8 billion back from the feds.
That's quite a little haircut, $16 billion. That's $16 billion that could stay in the California economy, could go to growing.
No. That's $369 billion that could stay in California.
Well, right. That's true. All of that would stay in California, be better handled. I mean, obviously, the California government's going to screw it up, too.
But California state budget for 2014, the year that $369 billion went to the feds, the state budget was $156 billion.
Yeah.
So, yes, if all of that money stayed in California, not only would the level of government that Californians have be able to pay for itself, people would then still have about $240 billion left over.
Yeah, I mean, presumably the Californian government would expand just like all governments do, but at the very least, the Californians would have more of a say over what happens to their money.
Correct.
It's not a whole lot better to have a state government compared to a federal government, but it is still better. Any government that is closer to you is going to be a little bit more responsive than one that is further away. Here in Keene, New Hampshire, you can live nearby the city councilors. They don't have an easy way to get away from you. At the state level, you can go and testify, as we've been doing on a weekly basis up at the state legislative offices. You can go to libertylobby.info and check out more about that. The videos are still going up. I got a couple more to upload tonight. And those will appear first over the Free Keene YouTube channel. So you can have some effect. The average person can have zero effect on the Washington, D.C. government. So this is some of the best news about California looking at ways to nullify the funding to the federal government. I'm very excited about it, especially given the 32% of Californians.
Correct.
So nearly 1 out of 3 Californians who right now, today, support secession, which is up, I believe, from like 20% in a 2014 poll.
Yes.
So you've got a tremendous increase already in the amount of people who are saying, you know what, I'm fed up with this, screw it. And the more popular that becomes, I think the more persuasive people will be, because there's still this sort of stick-in-the-mud mentality of people. I experienced it out at a protest right after Trump was elected. I went to a kind of a lefty protest in Keens Central Square, and I was talking to the people there about secession. The younger people were more open-minded to it. Some of the older folks, these old, longtime Democrats, were like, no, we can't secede. We need to fight back and take Washington, D.C. back for the people. And, they still were under this mentality that they could somehow have an effect in Washington, D.C.
We just need to sweep them all out and get a whole fresh batch in there.
But if 1 out of 3 people that they talk to is supporting the idea of secession, that may change how seriously they take the topic. Some of them are going to honestly look at the arguments being made. They're going to look at those numbers. They're going to look at that $16 billion, and maybe they'll think about, some of the hungry people that might feed, some of the homeless people that might help house. I mean, they'll think about things that they could do with that if it wasn't being lobbed off the top by a bunch of do-nothing federal bureaucrats. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's talk to Dodger. He's in Michigan, listening via the LRN.FM app on his smartphone. Go ahead, Dodger.
Gentlemen, good evening. I'm kind of an insomniac, and I want to talk actually about another group of people that Trump is trying to keep out of the country, namely the neighbors to U.S. South, the Mexicans. And if you remember, his campaign promise, we're going to build a great wall and make Mexico pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mentioned being an insomniac because I was listening to an overnight, neocon show. It's kind of a panel like you guys. It's nationally syndicated and everything.
What's it called?
Does it have the word red in it?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does. And anyway, obviously they were, hailing the whole thing about, the 7 countries that, that Trump was trying to keep people out of. And, they agree with the wall, but then they actually got something a little right when they started talking about how Trump claims to be making Mexico pay for it, and that's by putting a 20% tariff on everything imported from Mexico. It's already, I guess, been signed into, one of his, executive orders.
Can Trump just increase tariffs on his own?
I don't
know.
I just heard this was something that was talked about. I don't know if they've actually
I heard this was
it.
something that Congress was considering, and they're calling it a border adjustment tax.
Okay, but at either rate, it was nice to actually listen to these guys that actually, I heard that, that they normally are like, yay Trump,
mm-hmm.
and spend 2 hours just pounding down how this is a bad idea. And essentially he's not fulfilling that promise of making Mexico pay for it, because who's going to end up, paying for the wall then if, there's a 20% tariff?
Yeah, the consumer.
Yeah, it's going to be us.
Right.
And there are a lot of things that we get from Mexico.
Sure.
That tariff, I think Trump's belief, and he might honestly believe this, is he thinks that, that's just going to come out of the profits from the businesses. But as we discussed about the Philadelphia soda tax, it gets passed on to the consumers.
Of course it does.
I was actually just about to say that. We see how well that worked in Philadelphia, and then of course they're going to turn around and blame the people, the stores that are selling us the TVs and the washers and dryers and avocados and the things that we primarily come from Mexico. And so, I just kind of wanted to bring that up. It was kind of refreshing to, because they actually, talked a little bit about how trade is good, how actually, and I'm not sure, and I kind of wanted to get your guys' opinion, but they actually said that the country would actually be richer if we operated at a 100% trade deficit, which means we produced nothing, we imported everything, and gave them useless pieces of paper. And that was their words exactly.
I don't know if I agree with that, but it ties in really well to the discussion we were going to have from the book Economics in One Lesson.
Right. In that last paragraph in the chapter, he talks about Mill. Right,
John Stuart Mill,
the utilitarian, who says that the greatest benefit of trade is not the exports but the imports, because that's what you get. That's the gift. That's the reward from trade, is what you get. You know, that's what you go into trade to do, is to get something. So if you're not exporting anything and you're only importing, then you're getting things for free.
Right, but if you're
still paying for them,
if you're not producing anything, then how are you able to afford to buy imported goods?
It's all excellent discussion. Go ahead, Dodger.
Well, I was going to say, it just reminds me of a speech I heard Glenn Jacobs talk about Austrian economics. Wealth is not the money we have. It's the things. Money is used to buy things that make us wealthy.
All right, let's talk more about it. Dodger, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We're going to get into the idea of exports and imports here. Coming up with Economics in One Lesson, hour number 2, right around the corner. Do you need a website for your blog or new business? It can be pretty intimidating on your own, and that's why Free Talk Live has partnered with HostGator, one of the top hosting companies. HostGator offers a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive, user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation back into your hands. Go to HostGator.com/FTL, and you'll get 50% off of their regular hosting prices. 50% off. HostGator.com/FTL.
A funny thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Modern advertisers have been trained to look for trackability in their advertising, and web search ads are great for that. They also help you get the consumer that's looking for products like yours in the moment. But they're expensive, and they do nothing to convince people to try your product segment in the first place. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. If you can use national exposure, Free Talk Live's on more than 150 stations, and we can help advertisers with little budgets and big ones. Send me an email, mark@freetalklive.com. It's mark@freetalklive.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, January 29th, 2017. Silver is trading at $17.14 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,191 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.4 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $922. Antiwar.com reports, according to Turkey's state-run news agency, attacks against the northern Syrian city of Al-Bab killed at least 22 people, all of them terrorists. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, however, a substantial number of civilians were slain in the airstrikes and artillery fire. The observatory reported at least 10 civilians slain, including a small child, in attacks around Al-Bab and the surrounding areas. Turkey has been trying to capture the city, the last major of the Islamic State city in the Aleppo province, for months, but so far without success. Turkey's official military statements on operations almost never acknowledge civilian casualties, and indeed rarely admit to any casualties on their side either, simply reporting large numbers of the Islamic State fighters killed on a daily basis, which for some reason never seemed to be enough to secure a city of around 60,000 people. Turkish officials have previously indicated that after Al-Bab, their next focus will be on the city of Manbij, under the control of the Kurdish YPG, before advancing into the Raqqa province. The Al-Bab push has taken so much longer than anyone expected. However, it's not clear that Turkey still plans to try to go so much further into the Syrian invasion. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has decided to drop a series of lawsuits to buy plots of land in Hawaii after public backlash. Zuckerberg published a letter in the local Hawaiian newspaper, The Garden Island, saying it was clear the decision to file the suits over his ownership of the beachfront property on the Hawaiian island of Kauai was a mistake. He said, to find a better path forward, we are dropping our quiet title action and will work together with the community on a new approach. We understand that for Native Hawaiians, kuleana are sacred and the quiet title process can be difficult. We want to make this right, talk with the community, and find a better approach. Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan purchased the 700-acre waterfront estate on Kauai for $100 million in 2014 and filed a series of 8 lawsuits to buy out several hundred people's stake of 13 plots on 8 acres partitioned during the 1850s, according to USA Today. He initially defended the move, saying the purpose of the quiet title action was to identify property owners who were unaware of their stake in the land. Zuckerberg said he initially misunderstood the quiet title process and hoped to work with the community to find a better solution. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports President Donald Trump's order to restrict people from 7 Muslim-majority countries from entering the United States sparked outrage but hit a roadblock late on Saturday when a federal judge said stranded travelers could stay in the country. The emergency court ruling was cheered at Boston's Logan International Airport, one of several major U.S. airports where protesters angry with Trump's order gathered. The ACLU, which sought temporary stay, said it would help 100 to 200 people with valid visas or refugee status who found themselves detained in transit or at U.S. airports after Trump signed the order late on Friday. It was a dramatic end to Trump's first week in office, capped by the Republican president's 4-month ban on refugees entering the United States and 90-day ban on travelers from Syria and 6 other countries. Trump had promised during his campaign what he called extreme vetting of immigrants and refugees to try to prevent terror attacks. He told reporters in the White House's Oval Office early on Saturday that his order was not a Muslim ban. He told reporters in the Oval Office early on Saturday that his order was not a Muslim ban and said the measure was long overdue. The White House could not be immediately reached for comment on the emergency court ruling. Senior officials at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security told reporters they had not seen the ruling but said the government would implement any appropriate orders. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
According to a report released this week, people who paint themselves silver and pretend to be statues earn, on average, $10 million per year. The Onion sat down with economist Mark Cosgrave to learn more about the money-making potential of this highly lucrative employment path.
There's no more profitable career at the moment. If you compare these positions to other high-paying jobs, say physicians or mechanical engineers, you'll find that those individuals who have outfitted themselves with silver-painted boxes and can move their limbs stiffly as if they were a robot are making literally hundreds of times as much. At this point, I would say that the only job that offers anywhere near that kind of earning potential is dressing up like Batman and allowing people to pose for photos with you. And those guys who play paint buckets like drums have historically done well for themselves. But honestly, the recession hit these professions pretty hard, and a lot of them are only making something like $800,000 a year at this point. It's barely even worth their time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yep, it's Free Talk Live, and you can join us right here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
Jonny Ray.
And Darryl.
And we do have Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. So we were talking about California in the last hour. Not only are they moving towards secession, at least baby steps, they can now, petitioners can now go out and start petitioning to collect over 500,000 signatures to get on the ballot in 2018, a question of whether or not there should be a special election to determine whether or not California should look at seceding. So it's a lot of steps in advance, but they are slowly taking those steps, and from what we understand, there's a good amount of money behind the Yes Independence movement there in California. So we can keep talking about that, but it led us into a larger conversation about the economy, given that Californians are handing over billions of dollars to the federal government, hundreds of billions, and then 16 billions getting shaved off the top before the money, some of it, is sent back to California in the form of various different federal grants and subsidies. And there's a discussion about whether or not California should cut off the spigot, to stop sending money to the federal government. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Sarah in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yes, I just want to mention that, that they're building luxury underground apartments north of Kansas. So they cost like $3 million an apartment. So it's a condominium all underground. And so these are the Silicon Valley CEOs. They're preparing for a civil war and nuclear holocaust. So I feel that they pretty much got it. We're headed to a violent revolution here.
You think so?
We're coming down to it. I'm pretty sure. Why would they send three? They're very intelligent people. They're the one that's designing the automated cars.
Why would they? I'm just curious. Why would the California rich billionaires be building in Kansas? Just because of cheap land or something? I mean, isn't there some cheap land in California that they could build in? Maybe like a mountain bunker?
I don't know. Something. I don't know why they picked the north of Kansas for whatever reason, but maybe they know that California is going to break off into the ocean.
Where are you finding this news?
Well, everybody knows that California, the San Andreas fault.
No, not the news that California is going to fall off into the ocean. I've been hearing that for 30 years. No, where are you getting the news about the rich Californians moving underground in Kansas because of civil war?
No, they're preparing. They're buying it, and preparing.
She just cannot answer your question,
Where
Darryl.
are you reading this story from?
Well, you know what? I heard it on some radio show, like 80.
Was it at 2 o'clock in the morning? Were they also talking about aliens?
So it was 10 o'clock in the on point or something like that. It's, I don't know what they call it, but it was. I listened to that station.
Okay, so I don't know about the Kansas part of it, but I do have a story out of Dallas. Thank you, Sarah, for the call tonight here. It's actually been in my show prep for a couple of days. I mean, I was looking for Kansas, but...
So I actually just did a Google search for underground apartments, Kansas.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything with Kansas in it.
There's 2 articles that are from the Daily Mail that are fairly old. One is from 2012 and one is from 2014.
Yeah, I saw those.
So this does not appear to be new information, so it's probably something that's just getting recirculated as fear-mongering among a conspiracy.
No, but there is a news story. It's not about Kansas, but there is a story out of 2 days ago out of the Star-Telegram. This is what I've had in my show prep here. Inside his football field warehouse an hour's drive southeast of Dallas, Gary Lynch is busy trying to keep up with orders for his solid steel bomb shelters. Now, this isn't the $3 million thing that she was talking about, but it is relevant to what she was saying. He offers visitors a tour of a 600-square-foot model under construction for a Saudi customer. Right now, it's just a steel shell, he said, but when the work is done, it'll be a luxurious underground bunker with a master bedroom, 4 bunk beds, a composting toilet, a living room with satellite television capability, filtered air and water, and a storage closet with room for months of food. Lynch explains that orders for his most expensive shelters, which can cost as much as several million, all right, I take it back, have increased since the November election. He said, quote, "It definitely has picked up a little as Donald Trump emerged as president." Lynch is the general manager of Rising S Co. It's on the outskirts of the rural city of Murchison. Lynch said that some customers even half-jokingly said they're trying to protect themselves from a Trumpocalypse or Trump-NATO.
That's what I've always wanted. My fantasy has always been to have a hobbit hole like that.
Yeah.
Well, now, Ian, what would you prefer, to live underground or to live in a treehouse?
Ooh, I like the treehouse idea. I mean, who didn't see that old Disney movie? What was it? Family Robinson, Swiss Family Robinson, and they had that really big, awesome treehouse. I mean, who wouldn't like a nice house like that? I mean, when you're underground, Johnny Ray, you're not going to get sunlight. If you had a treehouse, you could get windows that would let a lot of light in, and you'd kind of be able to experience the world around you.
Right, but see, if you have a hobbit hole,
yeah,
that's built into the side of a hill.
Yeah, you could have windows
you could
there.
Still have windows.
That's true. That's different. And
depends how you build it. Sure.
Yeah, and you could, even if it was underground, you could probably have some kind of cleverly designed skylights. Darryl, would you live in the trees or would you live in the ground? I want to live in the ground because I don't want anybody to know where I am. I don't want anybody to be able to see me.
I build something into the side
of a hill.
Yeah.
That way it's the best of both, so you're underground, but you can still easily go outside without necessarily having to climb.
I mean, it also depends on the climate too, right? So if you're underground, that's better for regulating your climate, especially during both seasons, right? The hot times and the cold times.
There's a city in Australia that is completely underground just because it's too hot out in the middle of the outback where this is.
Well, Darryl, when you're not a bus, it finally expires. You can bury it and build a home.
Well, I've got permanent registration that expires at the end of the year 99.99.
Yeah, you're probably not going to make it that far.
I'm not going to be alive that long.
Okay.
I think that's an interesting question, though. Would it be a treehouse or an underground bunker? I still, again, I have to lean on the side of the treehouse just because I would want the idea of being able to open up multiple windows on the sides of the house and have breeze pass through.
What happens if there's a family of beavers that
cut down the tree?
Decide that your tree is going to wind up making a good dam.
Odds are that's not going to happen, and you could always put up anti-beaver devices to put a stop to that. If you had a big old tree anyway, it's pretty unlikely that they're going to be able to cut through that whole thing, right? I mean, I don't know much about beavers, so
give them enough time, they can
well, you would detect
pretty much any tree.
You would detect the gnawing, and you could put in some electric fencing or something like that.
Right, but maybe you're down in Mexico at Acapulco when the beavers come around and start gnawing on your tree.
They'd have to be busy little beavers. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. So, the Trumpocalypse, the Trump-NATO.
Yeah, I pulled up an article from The New Yorker where apparently this is something called the Survival Condo Project, a 15-story luxury apartment complex built in an underground Atlas missile silo.
Now, we're talking about Wichita or Kansas here again?
Yes.
This is the story from
North
2013, 2014?
No, this is a couple days ago.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's what Sarah was talking about.
Probably. So the facility housed a nuclear warhead from 1961 to 65 when it was decommissioned at a site conceived for the Soviet nuclear threat. The guy, Larry Hall, who's the CEO of the Survival Condo Project, says that it was erected as a defense against the fears of a new era. Quote, "It's true relaxation for the ultra-wealthy. They can come here. They know that there are armed guards outside. Their kids can run around." And then there's more written in here.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. The guy in Dallas who's building underground bunkers says that some of the people who are ordering them may have even voted for Donald Trump. They're just worried that the S is going to hit the fan with the policies, which could result in some sort of civil unrest And so they're ordering underground bunkers. So you got liberals getting underground bunkers. You've got Trump supporters doing it. $855, $450 free. What are your thoughts? Free Talk Live.
The following is an incredible, life-changing free offer for anyone with hearing problems who wants to start hearing more clearly again. We're now offering free in-home trials of a revolutionary hearing breakthrough called Listen Clear to anyone who calls this special toll-free number now. 1-800-957-5495. Call now and you'll also qualify for free shipping. Listen Clear is precisely designed by top audio engineers. It adjusts to let you find the perfect way to hear things crisply and clearly, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And Listen Clear is so small and discreet, people usually don't even notice you're wearing it. And it's so lightweight, you may even forget you're wearing it too. Don't miss this special life-changing opportunity to hear things more clearly again for free with a 100% free in-home trial and free shipping. If you like it, you could even get free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-957-5495. That's 1-800-957-5495. 1-800-957-5495.
Think about this. Your community's aging water infrastructure systems are very likely to be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, disinfection chemicals like ammonia, chlorine and chloramines, and pharmaceuticals like statins, pain meds, and antidepressants. And no, water treatment plants are not equipped to filter these pharmaceutical toxins out. Protect your family's water supply with the trusted Big Berkey water filter. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show Big Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria, and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification, and our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Interesting new ad campaign from Applebee's, which is encouraging customers to visit the restaurant ironically.
They're designed to attract young people to Applebee's by inviting them to ridicule its food service and atmosphere. Here, take a look.
What do you guys want to do?
We could go to Applebee's. No, let's seriously go to Applebee's. Look, guys, it's grilled.
It's just like my neighborhood restaurant, only completely geographically non-specific.
Yeah, nothing like a wild time at Applebee's, right?
Applebee's. Wouldn't it be funny to go to Applebee's?
I like
Isn't that
it.
persuasive?
Yeah.
But, they're not resting on their laurels. They're adding new menu items designed to be ridiculed outright, like the fajita cordon bleu and the chicken strip explosion.
Those sound ridiculous.
I know, but, so far this has been so successful that Applebee's is actually prepping a second series of ads aimed at customers who enjoy making fun of annoying young people who do things ironically.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, the live Sunday edition of the program. As always, we invite you here, toll-free at 855-450-FREE. You can, of course, bring up anything that you want. We still have to get to economics in one lesson here, Chapter 12, which is all about exports and imports. With you tonight here, it's Ian,
Jonny Ray,
and Darryl.
We're going to go to your calls and thoughts. We got Hung Like Jesus. He's on the line with us in Georgia via Skype. Go ahead, Hung.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome, sir.
I used to wonder with so many examples how celebrities, music stars in particular, would still fall into the same trap of drugs and, just ruining their career that way. So many examples, and they would still do it.
Well, I mean, drugs are a very attractive thing, especially if you're in a culture where they are accepted and encouraged, and you are the odd man out if you say no.
Not only accepted and encouraged, but also easy to get your hands on.
Well, yes.
If you're a celebrity, yeah. And also pretty much everybody feels like there's a little bit more juice that they can get out of life. And drugs are a way to to add some salt to life, to get some flavor out of it, to get some excitement.
And some people obviously get in too deep without realizing it, maybe, and then it's too late.
Right, I understand the attraction of it.
Yeah.
But I'm just, the thing to me is just that, like I said, with so many examples, they usually go down the wrong, not all the time, but often go down the wrong road and just get too deep.
Aren't we more likely to see the stories of the failures? I mean, we see the stories of the overdoses of Phil Hartman, I think, was one of them.
Phil Hartman's wife killed him after.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was on cocaine or something.
Who was I thinking of? Robert. There's been so many of them. I just
one of the Belushis.
Yeah.
The guy that was in Animal House, not the other one that got famous
Heath
later.
Ledger,
Chris Farley.
Yeah, I mean, you can just keep on going down the list, but I mean, I'm sure if we thought about all the stars that are still alive and doing doing movies, that would be a much larger list, right? So take somebody like Clint Eastwood. Or Kurt Russell.
Robert Downey Jr. had a somewhat well-known battle with drugs. I can think of a couple of former pro wrestlers.
So those who've beaten it and who've gotten through it and survived.
Pretty bad battles that luckily are still alive. Jake Roberts and Scott Hall.
So we're more likely, I think, to remember the tragic stories. I don't know. I'm sure if you ran the numbers, most of them are probably not tragically addicted.
Right. Well, I was just setting the stage.
Okay.
For my next comment. Last night I was listening to this show, and everyone that called in seemed to be in agreement with what Trump was doing as far as shutting the borders down and not allowing whoever to come in. And it dawned on me that if we forget things that happened in the past, of course we're going to repeat them. And I know it's a cliche, and most people don't even think about it twice.
Yep.
But I don't understand. They cannot see the slippery slope that this dude has introduced to us here as of late. And they just seem to get on his bandwagon. Yeah, you need to keep him out. And it's been brought to my attention that most of the stuff that happens here are people who are already here. And I think if anything else happens, it's going to be people who are already here.
Well, that's why I predicted that they're going to focus on domestic terror eventually. After they lock down the borders, things are going to occasionally still happen here, and they'll use those as an excuse to crack down on so-called domestic terror, which, of course, will reduce our freedoms even further.
And that's the slippery slope that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because once you start keeping out people that you don't want in, where will your attention be directed to next?
They'll have to round people up that they don't want who are already here, and that's a really, really scary idea. I mean, it's clear to us, and we know that it's a bad thing, but that's it may be clear to these other people, and they'll think that it's a good thing. They probably would cheer on roundups. They would probably gleefully hand over an identification at a checkpoint if they had to pass through a checkpoint every day to go to their place of work. I mean, on this show, we bring that up as an idea of something bad that would inevitably happen. They already have internal checkpoints in the U.S. There's a good chance that the Trump administration will see expansion of those internal checkpoints. And to us, that's a clear indicator that you're living in a police state, but there's a group of people who are welcoming to that police state, that they believe that they need the police state, that they need the protection from this enemy that is without and now, within, just like the old Red Scare, except, taking it to the next level.
But, the thing about that is, sooner or later they're going to come knocking on your door for whatever reason. And I don't think you'll be too enthusiastic about all the changes, when you get that knock on your door.
I tend to agree with you there. It'll all come shockingly home to an individual who maybe previously had supported roundups, having shock troops pointing guns at them, a la Elian Gonzalez, and roaming through their homes, searching closets and basements and things like that. I mean, that will probably shake a lot of people out of their stupor, but by then it's going to be too little, too late.
And you had mentioned the Red Scare. There are still some states that have laws on the books that you are not allowed to have a communist party within that state.
Wow.
Reminds me of a character from the novel George Orwell's 1984. There was one of the protagonists. What was his name? Anybody? I can't remember.
The main character, Winston Smith?
Yeah, Winston Smith. One of his neighbors was kind of a stupid, fat guy who was very patriotic, and he knew all the slogans and he knew all the songs. And
they black bag him one night or something?
He was turned in. He ended up getting, when Winston Smith finds himself in the clutches of the state towards the end of the novel, he runs into this guy, and what had happened was this guy's son had turned him in for some kind of infraction or something.
Wow.
Yeah. But first they come for the
communists.
The communists.
They come for the transunionists, and then who was it? The Jews or something? I forget. But then, then they come for me, right? And they come for you. Then there's nobody else left who can stand up for you. That's it's a great old poem.
First they came for the communists, and I wasn't a communist, so I did nothing.
Yeah, thank you for expanding the recollection there. Hung?
Well, that's it. I just wanted to get that out.
Good call, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, the slippery slope, definitely something that people need to pay attention to. And remember that it's only a matter of tweaking that system, that tyrannical system that you're cheering on right now, if you're cheering it on, that you're cheering on right now before that can turn against you. Whether it's going to happen in the next 4 years during the Trump administration, or maybe after another shift of power, after Trump leaves office and somebody else who you don't like gets in control of the federal government. The best thing that you can do between now and then is to work towards secession, is to get as many states out from this union as we possibly can, because at least then we'll be able to have experiments between these different states and see what it is that works and what it is that doesn't. We're going to continue more talk about the economy on the way with Economics in One Lesson, Chapter 12. Also, Marcia is on the line with us right now in Albuquerque, New Mexico, listening to Kiva. Go ahead, Marcia.
Yes, I wanted to say, as far as the economy goes, I think New Mexico has the worst economy in the whole country.
Okay.
I mean, we're an outbound state. People are leaving here, and then the politicians grandstand. I mean, and then we have these talk show hosts here, and they always say, what can we do to get companies here? And the people aren't skilled, and that's why there are no, the big companies don't come in. But the bottom line is, New Mexico really doesn't want people here.
I want to hear more about that. Hang on, Marcia. We'll discuss with that here in moments. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. You can join us here, the live Sunday edition. This is Free Talk Live.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Lifetime Grazed 100% grass-fed beef has the health benefits you seek. When compared to conventional beef, it offers good fats while virtually eliminating the bad. That's the result of cattle who never eat grain, ever. Rich in antioxidants, including vitamin E, C, beta-carotene, and CLA. No artificial hormones, antibiotics, or other drugs. For all our fresh, non-cooked products with only 100% grass-fed beef, go to MidasResources.com. Use voucher code GCN to get 30% off your order. MidasResources.com, or find us on Facebook.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! On your knees!
problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and it's the live Sunday edition of the show. That's a toll-free number to join us here, 855-450-FREE. We'll take your calls about anything that's on your mind. Still to come, more about the economy. Imports and exports are the topic in Economics in One Lesson, Chapter 12, which we've been sort of reviewing the book over the last few months here on Free Talk Live now. With you tonight, it's Ian,
Jonny Ray,
and Darryl.
We're going to continue with your calls and thoughts, though. Also, HostGator is a great way to get some hosting for a new website or maybe your existing website. Maybe you're tired of your current host and you want to move on to one of the top hosting companies out there. It's HostGator. You go to HostGator.com/FTL, and that gets you 50% off their regular prices. That's 50% off. Also, you get a simple one-click, easy installation for WordPress, 24/7 over the phone or live chat tech support, and a very intuitive and user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation and the simplicity of use into your hands. It's also got a 99.99% uptime rating, so you don't have to worry about outages with HostGator. Go to HostGator.com/FTL, that's /FTL, like Free Talk Live, and get 50% off of their regular prices because you're a Free Talk Live listener. We go back to Marcia in Albuquerque. Now, Marcia, you had made a claim. You're listening to Kiva, by the way. You'd made the claim that New Mexico has the worst economy in the United States. Darryl, you looked it up. Turns out it's bottom 5, but not the worst.
According to Wallet Hub, and they do this ranking every year, it looks like. And the ranking that they put out in June of last year looked at data from 2015 and found that New Mexico had the 5th worst economy, just above Maine, West Virginia, Arkansas, and Mississippi.
And that's ranked what, by GDP?
Well, they use GDP. There are three categories that they use: economic activity, economic health, and innovation potential. New Mexico was 32nd in GDP growth, 45th in unemployment, and dead last in a category called immigration of U.S. knowledge workers. That is not defined.
We're the second largest in unemployment. And as far as it goes, do you have the Albuquerque Journal, the Sundays today?
No.
And it came out from the Washington Bureau. Everybody, we're an outbound state.
Many people are
no
leaving.
jobs.
People are leaving.
People are leaving. And I think we're the second after Mississippi, but I would think even the first, because I would think Mississippi has good riverboat gambling there.
Well, the Mississippi economy is pretty bad, and I highly doubt that riverboats are going to be enough to hold it up.
Something? I think New Mexico always had different plans. New Mexico is a nuclear place. I don't know if the WIP opened up again, but there is $1 billion. It did. Okay, good.
No. The what? You said I don't know if the what opened up again?
The WIP.
The WIP? What is that?
WIPP, Waste Isolation Pilot Program, where they take in all the
nuclear waste,
garbage, nuclear waste, and they had a fire there and a leak. So I believe it was closed for over 2 years. But also, I wanted to tell you about this in southern New Mexico, this $1 billion city where they blow things up. Nobody can live there. It's CITE, and it's owned by Pegasus Global Holdings, and they do experiments there for transport, construction, and communications. And so this is out in the desert. But they have so many experiments, and you can look it up. They're doing it.
So what is, in your opinion, what does all this experimentation and nuclear waste have to do with the exodus?
Okay, wait a minute. If there were jobs here and people came, they'd say, oh, yes, I want this nuclear waste right in my backyard, right where I live, to poison my water, to poison my children, to poison my food. They wouldn't be able to do that. Do you know where
Why would someone say that?
Oh, you want to live with nuclear waste?
No.
Do you?
Why would anyone say they wanted to live with nuclear waste? I don't understand.
She's saying that's why people aren't moving into New Mexico and people are leaving.
But New Mexico's a big place. How much of it is storing nuclear waste?
No, they have no jobs, and the people.
Okay, well, that's a much bigger discussion then. If you're saying that the economy's bad, that has to do. I'm sure that has to do with a lot more.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm sure that has to do with a lot more than whether or not there's somebody storing nuclear waste somewhere in the state.
Wait a minute, but that's the plan. Didn't we have the atomic bomb here in Trinity? The plan for New Mexico, and who's getting money?
Plan?
Somebody's making. The plan for New Mexico is we're all nuclear, and they want to keep people out because if people come.
Okay, but wait a minute. Let me see if I'm following you. You're saying whose plan is this? The politicians of New Mexico is to make the whole place a nuclear dumping grounds? That sounds pretty
we are.
ridiculous.
We are. We take it ridiculous. You've never been here, have you?
No, I've never been there. But come on, it's a big state. How much nuclear waste could there really be?
I actually have been to New Mexico, and yes,
did you bring
a
radiation meter with you, Darryl?
I did not. No.
Well, you're laughing. Let me ask you.
I'm not laughing.
Got the Bella.
I am.
No, yes, you are. You're
yes,
making
I'm
fun
laughing.
Of me.
Darryl is not laughing.
No, Ian is laughing. Darryl is not.
I'm not making fun of you. I just don't believe you. I just don't.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah. It seems a little paranoid. Now, I'm not saying.
Actually, tourism is the largest sector of the economy in New Mexico.
So apparently people want to go and visit missile silos?
Tourism. What?
$6.1 billion per year is brought into New Mexico in tourism.
Right. Marcia, I think that you've got a problem with politicians there. If indeed, if it's
yes, I do.
Yeah.
They're all a bunch of bums.
Of course they are. But here's the thing: is they're all bums everywhere.
Can I say something?
You've been saying things.
But if
Go
we
ahead.
had jobs here, and it was developed as much as Florida and other places, they wouldn't be able to bring in all this nuclear crap. And I would like
Unfortunately, you're missing all the
coastline,
coastline, so you'll never be as developed as Florida unless you all of a sudden have a bunch of freedom, which your politicians are, of course, not going to be bringing you in New Mexico. Thank you, Marcia, for the call tonight. The problem is with politicians. If it's true what she's saying, that there's some grandiose plan to turn the entire state into nuclear dumping grounds, then that's a problem with politicians. Unfortunately, as she is rightfully pointing out, these are scumbags who are running for office, and you can replace one scumbag with another scumbag, but ultimately, you're not going to significantly change things. Of course, Florida is more developed. It has a huge amount of coastline, and people tend to value coastal properties quite a bit, so it attracts a lot of people from a lot of different places, whereas an arid desert or whatever it is that they've got there in New Mexico,
it's mostly desert.
Yeah, isn't going to be particularly attractive to a whole lot of people. So I say the only thing that could really help their economy would be for the government to leave people alone. But that's just not what governments do. So given that you have bad politicians plus an inhospitable place to live, or at least an unattractive place to live. Obviously, people can live there if they want to, but an unattractive place to live, you've got a bad combo there. So until the desert ain't going to change, and the politicians are likely not going to change. So that would explain why a lot of people are leaving. They're saying, well, if we're going to have bad politicians, we might as well have a beach and go to Florida or go to California or the Pacific coast or wherever. So you can totally understand. Now in New Hampshire, where thousands of libertarians are migrating, one of the biggest objections we get is, well, it's too cold there. Well, okay, fine. If you like it warm, then enjoy your statism, because that's what you get here as your trade-off for being a little bit cold in New Hampshire, a relatively inhospitable place for many months out of the year. You get the trade-off of way less government here than in a lot of places. Fewer government regulations, fewer bureaucrats per productive people. New Hampshire is a smaller government place than a lot of places. Its economy is very good. Actually, you've got some of the numbers that show it near the top on some of those economic lists.
I do. New Hampshire ranks 11th overall, according to these rankings.
Not bad.
3rd for economic health, 6th for innovation potential.
That's pretty good.
20th for economic activity, but if you look at the states that rank higher on that, they're much larger populations.
Which makes sense. There's just more money transferring hands, even if the government's taking a big cut of it in those other states.
Yes.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. And New Hampshire's only going to get more free as we get more liberty-minded people to move here, at least those who aren't afraid of the cold. 855-450-FREE. You can join us.
If you're a sleep apnea sufferer who's on the go to your phone right now. Because if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll qualify to try the world's first portable mini CPAP device absolutely risk-free for 10 restful nights. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, an engineering marvel that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. Its unique design is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. No more dragging around a big, bulky CPAP. Now you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 nights by being one of the first 100 lucky callers to call minicpap.com now. 1-800-940-1740. Transcend is FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. You can also add a battery pack that's as tiny as a deck of cards. So don't wait. To guarantee your 10-night in-home trial, be one of the first 100 lucky callers to call now. 1-800-940-1740. That's 1-800-940-1740.
Do you trust the economy? How about our banking system? Our president states that we're sitting on a bubble right now, and when the Fed raises interest rates, bad things are going to happen. Well, the Fed is outlining rate hikes here and now. There's never been a better time to turn your IRA into physical gold with GSI Exchange. 800-261-5570. That's 800-261-5570. GSI Exchange can make this happen fast, and it's money you control, not the big banks. 800-261-5570. Ask about our Gold and Silver Investors Guide and learn how your qualified IRA transfers can get you $1,500 in free physical gold or silver delivered right to your home. GSI Exchange has an A+ rating on the Better Business Bureau, too. Get the security for your money now. Call GSI Exchange at 800-261-5570. 800-261-5570. 800-261-5570. That's 800-261-5570.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $3 lower at $1,186 per ounce. Silver is 3 cents lower at $16.82 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $918 US. With all eyes on a 20,000 Dow number, metals have slipped this week. To take advantage and buy on this dip, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live, and it's the live Sunday edition of the program. Of course, you're invited here to dial in toll-free. Take control of the airwaves at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You know, we actually had a MyPillow story come in on our Free Talk Live AMP forum. We've talked a lot about MyPillow here on Free Talk Live. You've certainly gotten Darryl and I's enthusiastic endorsement for the product. We're both using it. We have been since early 2016, and I wouldn't use it if it wasn't the best pillow that I had. It's fantastic. In fact, you can try it out for yourself by using code FTL at mypillow.com. You'll get one at half price or two for the price of one. And if you don't like it, if you don't agree that it is the best pillow that you've used, then you can send it back if you want, and they'll send you your purchase price back. So they're getting behind their pillow. And one of the cool things about MyPillow is you can actually wash it. Not only is it designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position, but you can put it in your washer and your dryer. And Leah, who's one of our Free Talk Live amplifiers, shared this story. She says, more MyPillow news from an unbiased listener/owner. This morning, our cat barfed on MyPillow. But fret not, the pillow is machine washable. I put it in the washing machine along with the sheets and pillowcases and washed in warm water on a regular cycle. The washer did not tilt or go wacky during the spin cycle. I put it in the dryer with high heat along with the other linens, and when it was done drying, it was super puffy but still retained its shape.
Yay!
So successful cleanup of a cat puke because MyPillow is washable. With a normal pillow, you have to kind of hope you catch it in time before the puke seeps through the cover on the pillow and gets into the pillow, because once it gets into that pillow, you can try a damp
and it's gone.
Damp cloth, but it's probably going to smell like puke after that. So, mypillow.com, go to mypillow.com. Use code FTL.
Ian, of the three of us, I do not sleep on a MyPillow, and what happened to me? What happened to me? I went to take a nap.
You are subject to cat pukes.
No, I took a nap 2 days ago. Woke up, couldn't move my head. Can't move my head today. And it's all because I don't have a MyPillow.
Maybe it would be something worth trying. Like if you're having trouble sleeping, it's cheaper to go and get a MyPillow than going to buy a whole new mattress. So start with the MyPillow and see if that helps things out. Anyway, mypillow.com, code FTL, you get the discount. As we continue with your calls and thoughts, we've got Debbie in New Mexico listening to Kiva in Albuquerque. Go ahead, Debbie.
Oh, I'm calling from Ken Radio in Farmington, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your location. I presumed you were in Albuquerque. Go ahead. You're listening to KENN. That's awesome.
Well, I'm going to try to make this as fast as possible. I called you a couple of weeks ago about Hillary Clinton and how the email stuff was set up. Do you remember me? Okay, well, anyway.
I'm sorry. I barely remember what happened last night. It's nothing personal.
Me either. She was kind of saying that New Mexico was radioactive because of WIP. Well, what happened with WIP many years ago was back in the 90s, the big issue they had was people having those trucks travel across New Mexico with the radioactive waste. But that was early 90s. And yes, there was a thing a couple of years ago. I don't remember, but that's not why our economy's bad. Okay. New Mexico is known for energy. Up here in the Farmington area, we have gas, oil, natural gas, and coal. Well, you know what Hillary said about coal, and the EPA has come in and said you need to reconfigure your power plant so it doesn't emit this mercury and pollute the environment. They also came in a couple of years ago and told all the oil producers to put this lining in the leaching pits, and that caused a lot of layoffs in the area. Well, because our area is based on this energy, the gas, coal, and whatever, it caused massive layoffs, and it caused a trickle-down negative economic effect in this area. Well, there's several areas in New Mexico that are kind of the same way. But I think the other issue is that we are a border state to Mexico. We get a lot of immigrants that come up here in Santa Fe, Las Cruces, Albuquerque, and again, they impede the schools, the healthcare system, and so on.
So it sounds like you have a problem with the government. I mean, because normally immigrants are a boon to an economy. They bring cheap labor in, they can drive costs down and give everybody more spending power. Not to mention...
Plus, it increases the demand for goods and services.
Right, unless, of course, you've got a government getting in the way, setting all kinds of ridiculous meddling policies that involve forced wealth redistribution.
Well, I'm thinking it's kind of like the perfect storm. It's not just the immigration, it's not just the EPA, it's just that right combination of everything. But I will tell you, I've been unemployed for 2.5 years right now, and I'm living out of my car. But I can't get a job around here because all the good jobs that are associated with the gas and oil, they're not here anymore. And I'm kind of a professional. I'm a computer programmer, and I'm overqualified for retail sales.
Yep, that's rough. Debbie, thanks for calling and sharing your thoughts with us tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Let's go to this lady from Albuquerque this time, Kay, listening to Kiva. Go ahead, Kay.
Good evening.
Hey there.
Well, I heard some perhaps facts from the woman that talked about all the nuclear concerns. I believe the storage area is in southern New Mexico. It's called WIPP, W-I-P-P, and I don't remember what all the letters stand for. It was recently just reopened after a shutdown because there had been a radiation leak or some problem with the radioactive waste. I'm not in favor of a whole lot of that. I really wish the state hadn't signed up for it, but they do pretty well on having some precautions that go with it.
I would expect so.
Overall, the state, I've been complaining lately about winds at my home, which is east and in a rural area from the big city, Albuquerque. And finally I said to myself, Kay, why are you complaining so much? You're not having 6 inches of rain fall on your place in 24 hours and therefore be flooded. Yes, we're always wanting water, and we do pretty well at conserving it. Our government politically is now divided. The recent election took us to having Democrats rule both the House of Representatives and the Senate. The governor remains Republican, Susana Martinez. She's done a pretty decent job, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm looking here at the map, Google Maps, for the WIPP location. Again, W-I-P-P, the website, wip.energy.gov, so it is a government-run operation. It is nearby to nothing. I mean, according to the map here, there's not even, if you zoom in on it, you can't even find a town within, miles of this location. So it's pretty far away from any kind of actual, population zone, even a small town. You can't even find small towns in the immediate vicinity. I mean, so the idea that our previous caller was suggesting that somehow the state was being taken over by nuclear facilities or nuclear waste storage facilities, it doesn't really seem to be true at all.
Well, what I didn't know if she understood or not, the earliest usage was during the 1940s when we were scrambling to build what we didn't even know for sure would be an atomic bomb. Yes, there were some casualties. Every now and then we see on TV commercials promoting if you were a worker and damaged by, because they didn't know how to, be so careful of the radioactive issue, some people are definitely getting free medical care at home as a result of that. I guess that was just a different kind of casualty than someone being shot and shipped back in a body bag.
Kate, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. You can join us, 855-450-3733, and, of course, take control of the airways. There's always a lot of factors that go into the health of an economy, but I think, number one is got to be the regulatory climate. It's got to be how difficult is it to run a business? How many hoops do you have to jump through to open a business, to continue operating that business? What kind of tax burden and regulatory burdens constantly sitting on those businesses? And if you can have a lower burden of tax by simply moving 50 miles or 100 miles to the north or the west or the east, why won't you do that? Most businesses would be willing to if they can save enough money.
Right. And I'm laughing inside because the thing you described sounds a lot like a free market. And there was a legislative hearing that we were at a couple weeks ago where the sponsor of a bill to close a loophole to, make people pay a tax that they might already be paying because they might not realize the loophole is there. He says, we need to close this loophole because of free market. Well, no. Free market does not mean close loopholes. Free market means you don't regulate stuff. You don't tax things. You don't regulate things, and you let the market exist freely.
What was it that George Bush said, that he's got to regulate the market to save the free market or something?
He has to betray the free market to save the free market.
Well, at least he was more honest. I mean, the word betray is probably a more honest word than regulate.
Yes.
Because regulate makes people think that somehow they're being benefited, when really the ultimate goal of a regulation is to just simply protect those who are already in business. Almost always is what regulations do, is protect existing business owners from startups and innovators. 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
A funny thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Modern advertisers have been trained to look for trackability in their advertising, and web search ads are great for that. They also help you get the consumer that's looking for products like yours in the moment. But they're expensive, and they do nothing to convince people to try your product segment in the first place. If you're a local advertiser, contact this station. If you can use national exposure, Free Talk Live's on more than 150 stations, and we can help advertisers with little budgets and big ones. Send me an email, mark@freetalklive.com. It's mark@freetalklive.com. For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, January 29th, 2017. Silver is trading at $17.14 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,191 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 2.4 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $922. Antiwar.com reports, according to Turkey's state-run news agency, attacks against the northern Syrian city of Al-Bab killed at least 22 people, all of them terrorists. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, however, a substantial number of civilians were slain in the airstrikes and artillery fire. The observatory reported at least 10 civilians slain, including a small child, in attacks around Al-Bab and the surrounding areas. Turkey has been trying to capture the city, the last major of the Islamic State city in the Aleppo province, for months, but so far without success. Turkey's official military statements on operations almost never acknowledge civilian casualties and indeed rarely admit to any casualties on their side either, simply reporting large numbers of the Islamic State fighters killed on a daily basis, which for some reason never seemed to be enough to secure a city of around 60,000 people. Turkish officials have previously indicated that after Al-Bab, their next focus will be on the city of Manbij, under the control of the Kurdish YPG, before advancing into the Raqqa province. The Al-Bab push has taken so much longer than anyone expected. However, it's not clear that Turkey still plans to try to go so much further into the Syrian invasion. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has decided to drop a series of lawsuits to buy plots of land in Hawaii after public backlash. Zuckerberg published a letter in the local Hawaiian newspaper, The Garden Island, saying it was clear the decision to file the suits over his ownership of the beachfront property on the Hawaiian island of Kauai was a mistake. He said, to find a better path forward, we are dropping our quiet title action and will work together with the community on a new approach. We understand that for Native Hawaiians, kuleana are sacred and the quiet title process can be difficult. We want to make this right, talk with the community, and find a better approach. Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan purchased the 700-acre waterfront estate on Kauai for $100 million in 2014 and filed a series of 8 lawsuits to buy out several hundred people's stake of 13 plots on 8 acres partitioned during the 1850s, according to USA Today. He initially defended the move, saying the purpose of the quiet title action was to identify property owners who were unaware of their stake in the land. Zuckerberg said he initially misunderstood the quiet title process and hoped to work with the community to find a better solution. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports President Donald Trump's order to restrict people from 7 Muslim-majority countries from entering the United States sparked outrage but hit a roadblock late on Saturday when a federal judge said stranded travelers could stay in the country. The emergency court ruling was cheered at Boston's Logan International Airport, one of several major U.S. airports where protesters angry with Trump's order gathered. The ACLU, which sought temporary stay, said it would help 100 to 200 people with valid visas or refugee status who found themselves detained in transit or at U.S. airports after Trump signed the order late on Friday. It was a dramatic end to Trump's first week in office, capped by the Republican president's 4-month ban on refugees entering the United States and 90-day ban on travelers from Syria and 6 other countries. Trump had promised during his campaign what he called extreme vetting of immigrants and refugees to try to prevent terror attacks. He told reporters in the White House's Oval Office early on Saturday that his order was not a Muslim ban. He told reporters in the Oval Office early on Saturday that his order was not a Muslim ban and said the measure was long overdue. The White House could not be immediately reached for comment on the emergency court ruling. Senior officials at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security told reporters they had not seen the ruling but said the government would implement any appropriate orders. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Well, today was an historic occasion in Pennington.
That's right, Diane. The entire town turned out to honor Paul Webster, the area's one gay man with Pennington's first ever Gay Pride Parade. Paul, a 33-year-old hardware store owner, was too shy to ask for a parade, but that didn't stop almost 2,000 residents from showing their support for his homosexuality. Mayor Sue Hallinan organized the parade and even chipped in some of her own money to pay for decorations.
Well, I was channel surfing one day and I came across a program about the Gay Pride. Next time I went to the hardware store, I said, Paul, we're going to throw you a parade. And he just said, oh, please don't do that. I don't want that. I beg you. He just didn't want us to go to the trouble.
He doesn't want to ride on the penis float. He gets motion sickness, so we're going to have him hold the reins instead.
And Penningtonians have already decided on a fairy tale theme for next year's parade.
Oh, that'll be great.
And if Paul has a boyfriend, they can both be dressed up as kings.
Terrific idea.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can dial in toll-free here. We're launching into the third hour of the live Sunday edition of the program. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Jonny Ray,
and Darryl.
And you can also call us on Skype. Skype username's LRN.FM. Apparently somebody was having trouble, and they called into the Genesis Communications Network, which is our network, saying they couldn't get through on Skype. I have no indication that Skype is doing anything working or that is not working correctly tonight. It looks like it's doing fine. We had Hung Like Jesus on there before, so make sure you get the username correct, and you also have to send a request first. I don't always clarify that on the air. You won't be able to call us on Skype unless you send a request first, and the username is LRN.FM. So we'll talk to Tom in Nashua, then we'll get to the Economics in One Lesson chapter that we're supposed to talk about tonight about exports. But Tom, you're on Free Talk Live first. Go ahead.
At noon on January the 3rd, the new Congress got sworn in, and they are, some new members, such as here in New Hampshire, former New Hampshire Governor Maggie Hassan is now United States Senator Maggie Hassan. And so with the occasion of the protests over the executive order banning people from entering the United States from those 7 countries, it raises the question, by the way. I mean, it was totally legal. They got their visa totally legal. They boarded perfectly legal when they boarded the plane, but now it's against the law for them to enter the United States. What are they supposed to do? Hijack the plane back to their home country? But they were already on the plane.
I don't know. That's a good question. What happens to the person who's basically been screwed over? They were planning to come back to the United States or already on their way to visit here when the law was changed, or the not law was changed, but the executive order was issued Friday night, resulting in all this chaos. What do you have to do? Do you then have to pay for your own ticket back, or is the U.S. federal government going to buy the ticket for you?
Based on what I was reading last night, it made it sound like the airlines were putting the passengers back on the plane and they'll figure it out later.
Huh.
Now, the other issue here is that I use this as an occasion to go on the website of new United States Senator Hassan of New Hampshire, and the website is senate.gov. It's the senator's last name, .senate.gov, or the house.gov, and email them with the protest, because it's one thing to show up at an airport and show a sign to some people who don't really have any control over what's doing it. Don't forget to tell Senator Hassan or the new senators and new representatives elected where you live the so-called representatives, to tell them and the approach that I'm using is to tell them to stop funding the U.S. Border Patrol if they're going to be misused for this purpose. And Customs and Border Protection goons at the airport simply shut down that bureaucracy.
So you're saying that would be one way to push back against the Trump order banning immigration. Yeah, it probably would be, but they would likely not put forth something like that because no politician wants to stand against law enforcement.
And chances are it's not actually the member of Congress reading the emails. It's probably some intern or an aide or a page or someone. And then you may or may not get some kind of form letter response to where they'll like, oh, you used the word this, so let's find that response we have that corresponds to that topic.
Oh yeah, I've gotten that where they got totally wrong and what the thing was about and everything. But it's time to you do that too. In addition to going out and doing whatever protesting or calling. Some people would call up a radio talk show and go on the air and sound off about what they think about it. I don't know. You know anybody like that?
Thanks, Tom, for the call tonight. Appreciate it. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. It's rare that I agree with what Tom calls in about, but I got to say that it doesn't hurt to contact these people. Although you could argue it's a waste of time if they're not reading it. There are a lot of other ways you could waste your time, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
Guys, this is apropos of nothing probably, but I read today that some of those robocalls or that you've probably gotten,
sure,
where
everybody's gotten them.
You answer the phone and there's a pleasant female voice that says, "Oh, hi, can you hear me? Okay." Have you gotten a call like that where they ask you if you can hear them?
No, I've never gotten that version, but I believe it.
I've gotten a couple where they ask that specific question. Where they
Voice
say,
detection technology would make it easy to do something like that. I mean, the person would then say yes, and then they would know how to respond.
Yeah, well, what I read today, a story that the purpose of those calls is to capture the answerer affirming something, saying yes or sure, yes, so that they can use the recording of you saying yes to use against you.
Oh my!
After they've billed you for something.
So you mean they would make a false recording, right? So they would make a false recording using your voice saying yes, where they might say, "Well, Mr. Smith, can we come over and install a new roof on your house today?" Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So if you get one of those robocalls and they say, "Can you hear me?" or they ask you a question that the logical response to is yes, just hang up.
Yeah.
Or say, "I can hear you."
Or yeah, I can hear you. Are you a robot?
Is there evidence that that's happening, Johnny Ray, or is that kind of a speculative? This is something they could be doing.
No, there was in the story that I read. There was a man who had been defrauded specifically that way.
Wow. All right, so economics in one lesson, chapter 12, the drive for exports is what it's called here. And I got to say, this for me was one of the kind of most of the chapters have been pretty self-explanatory for me so far in Economics in One Lesson, which is, by the way, a book that you can read for free. It's available in PDF form. Just Google Economics in One Lesson. The author is Henry Hazlitt, written back in the 1940s, and a lot of these are ideas that are going to stand the test of time. And I don't know, this one's just kind of a little different for me. It's all about exports, and the big claim up front here is that it's exports that pay for imports and vice versa. The greater exports we have, the greater imports we must have if we ever expect to get paid. And then they end up talking about how you need to have, British pounds if you want to order stuff from Great Britain, and vice versa. Great Britain needs to have American dollars if they want to order stuff from the United States.
It does, yeah. I think it's needlessly complex. This rationale that he's making.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that it necessarily has to be true that you have to have an equal amount of exports and imports.
Right, and that's one of the claims is, we can't have a trade deficit. Well, there's no such thing as a trade deficit because you're either sending products or money.
Or money. That was the thing that I was thinking of.
Those two things are always going to equal whatever the amount of imports are. So there's no such thing as a trade deficit. And even if there is, it's not always a bad thing.
Right.
As the late Dr. Mark Feldman used to say, I've got a trade deficit with my barber. He's given me a lot of haircuts, and I've never given him anything other than money.
Right, but it's still a valuable relationship. I've heard the same example used about the grocery store.
Yeah.
I mean, how much stuff does the grocery store buy from you? But is that an unhealthy relationship that you have with them? No, it's not.
No.
Well, which is why Darryl mentioned the dollars, and that's the other thing. That's what's leaving your pocket in the grocery store. So they are getting dollars from you, not as many as every other customer in the store or whatever. But ultimately, it's the customers are exporting their dollars from their wallet and importing the the groceries. But of course, we're just looking at a micro level there. When you look at the larger level, like look at Hong Kong, I think that's an interesting example because Hong Kong is basically, it's not really a country, but it's sort of ranked separately on the rankings of economic freedom.
It's an autonomous region of China.
And so they've kind of, they're a more free place. In fact, arguably the most free economically in the entire world. But yet Hong Kong itself doesn't actually have any real natural resources unless you want to count rock and salt water. So they have to import a whole lot of stuff in Hong Kong. Now, they are exporting, too, because they're using the imports to create products and, export those from there. But let's continue with the discussion about exports in the book, Economics in One Lesson. You can join us here as well, 855-450-FREE. That's our number, Free Talk Live.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back. Because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5928. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5928. That's 1-800-959-5928. 1-800-959-5928.
You are what you eat? No, not true. You are what you can absorb, because not absorbing nutrition leads to nutritional deficiency and degenerative diseases. Medication does not fix nutritional deficiencies, and North American soil is now 85% nutritionally depleted. That means your body is not getting the vitamins it needs from just grown foods. Introducing Protovite, the world's first and only full-spectrum protosomal supplement. Protovite is a proprietary liquid system that allows premium quality nutrients to positively affect the blood in an astonishing 5 minutes. That's rapid absorption. Then Protovite liquid continues to release sustained nutrition in the stomach, intestines, and colon over a prolonged period of time. See Protovite in action. Watch our amazing 2-minute live blood cell video today at TrueHealthFacts.com. That's TrueHealthFacts.com. Or call 502-410-3411. 502-410-3411. Protovite is nutrition you can feel. Protovite is nutrition that gets in.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll-free. Join us right here on the live Sunday edition of the program. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype, and the Skype username is lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Jonny Ray.
And Darryl.
By the way, you can go to saveitpurse.com, save big time on your purchases at Amazon. Darryl, you were just telling me before the show tonight that you locked in a 30% discount.
30% discount, and
in record time.
Just over an hour.
Incredible. Over at saveitpurse.com. What was the item that you were saving big time on?
Spiritine and coconut milk powder.
Wow.
Items that I put in my daily smoothies.
Okay,
is it with spiritine like creatine?
No, spiritine is spirulina, and protein and coconut milk powder is exactly what it sounds like. It's coconut milk powder.
Now, like health food stuff's normally pretty expensive. If you can get a 30% discount on health food stuff, you're actually doing really, really well.
Yes.
Now, that's actually close to the maximum discount you can receive at saveitpurse.com, which is 33%. Now, there is a small portion of that percentage that will be given to the folks over at Save It Purse. So, you don't save all 33%, but so they take a cut. But you're still saving big time.
I'm still saving nearly $20 on this purchase.
Yeah, it's incredible. And all because you paid with Bitcoin, because you paid with cryptocurrency over at saveitpurse.com, saveatpurse.com. If you're going to buy stuff online, why wouldn't you want to save 10 to 30%? Because you can do that, and it's pretty easy to do with Save at Purse. Saveatpurse.com. Let's continue here. We'll get to your calls in a moment, but more on the drive for exports. Chapter 12 in the book Economics in One Lesson. What was so kind of confusing to me, and I really had to kind of think about this, was the book claims here that there needs to be this balance of goods when it comes to exports and imports, and it talks about that, but it doesn't really seem to at least openly include that money can be that good that is being traded. Like whenever I think about goods and trade, you think, oh, well, there's this amount of products are leaving, this amount of products are coming in. And when you think about product, you don't think that money could be that thing that is being traded. And so it gets a little bit murky.
Well, he does explicate that in one paragraph where he talks about the gold standard. Do you remember that?
I did read that, but I don't remember exactly what it said.
Well, he says that in times where a gold standard existed, an international gold standard existed, I think he said, that mitigated the balance of payments problems. But he says that gold it could be just any other commodity. So it's just it should be seen. It can be seen and accounted for in the same way that he was saying that exports equal imports
of the goods and such.
Yeah, goods and so forth.
And of course, whether it's gold or Bitcoin now, this was written in the 1940s. Now we have the ability to, you don't have to change currencies around if you don't want to. If I'm going to buy something, like I bought some Bitcoin accepted here stickers. So like local businesses have a Bitcoin accepted here sticker up on their front door or the cash register. Those actually came from like Eastern Europe, I think, and I forget which country it was. But
wait, the stickers?
Yeah, the stickers.
Okay,
they were printed and shipped here from Eastern Europe, and I paid for them in Bitcoin. I didn't have to worry about changing out to Swiss francs or whatever it is in order to do that. So some of the stuff that Hazlitt's talking about here. This was written a long time ago before the idea of a truly international currency, which is, of course, Bitcoin. But then I was giving the example of Hong Kong, where they have virtually no natural resources in Hong Kong. The only thing that they have there is the freedom to create and the ability to, relative to the rest of the world, they're the number one freest economy. And so, they import a bunch of stuff. They export some stuff, obviously, but it would seem that as far as product is concerned, that Hong Kong must import more than they export. They would have to, right? Like if they're importing raw materials or whatever in order to build stuff that they then end up exporting, they're also having to import food in order to feed the population. And so clearly there's a trade imbalance or whatever by when you look at product.
Right.
But when you add money to the picture, that's what evens it out, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
the way that I thought of Bitcoin too when I was reading the chapter, and I forgot what I was getting ready to say.
That's all right. Darryl, any thoughts on exports?
No, all of my thoughts have basically already been said, and Hazlitt, he just seems to kind of miss the mark. He's not very far off the mark, but he seems to consistently be missing the mark
throughout the book.
The book, to where he sounds really good on something, and then he says, "But not all tariffs are bad. Sometimes we need them because blah 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 blah."
Right, and then he'll walk back a few steps on that. He does address later in the chapter this idea of governments loaning money. Through
that
federal
was the major focus of the second part of the chapter.
I found that more understandable.
What I was going to say was just the part about, he says in the beginning, in the opening of the chapter, he says that exports basically equal imports, and if we want buyers, if we want foreign buyers, then they are going to have dollars to buy our products with. So we'll have to buy stuff from them so that they get our dollars in order that the whole process can be reciprocated. And
it seems needlessly complicated.
That's what I got needlessly complex written down right there.
Right.
I think Bitcoin and money and gold can just wipe all that out. I think that whole argument.
Plus, if they want to buy dollars, they can just buy dollars. You don't have to jump through the hoop of having to have exports in order for a country to buy the dollars. You'd be exporting the dollars in that case.
I've traveled enough to where I know that it's not incredibly difficult to find this place called a international currency exchange, to where you say, I've got a bunch of fill-in-the-blank currency. I would like to get some fill-in-the-blank other currency. And then they'll facilitate the transaction for you.
So, like you said, the bulk of the chapter is him talking about these loans from the government or subsidies to other countries on the idea that some of that money will be used to buy American products. And he points out there that still means that people in America are losing because a lot of that money won't necessarily get spent on the products. And further, it won't be spent in the way the people wanted to spend it or how they would have spent it individually.
Yeah, and he's saying that often it's not even paid back. But the argument is that even if it isn't paid back, they've still got those dollars over there because we've given out this aid, or we've made these loans. So the dollars are in another country, which is going to catalyze or facilitate these exports that we love so much. But Hazlitt's point is, if you don't get, that's fine as far as it goes. That's fine if you loan them the money.
If you loan them your own money, it's fine.
But
when you're loaning
money
other
is
people's
loaned,
money,
if money is loaned and it's paid back, it's fine. But if it's not paid back, it's not made any better, the fact that they now have dollars that they're going to send to you because you're just giving away the products by loaning them the money to pay for it.
More coming up here. You can share your thoughts with us. This is Free Talk Live. Whether it's economics, immigration, or whatever's on your mind, the live Sunday edition continues here. 855-450 free is our number.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists, get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
No, I can understand the time cue, but what I know is wiser than anything else. Like God created one day, I've created 4 simultaneous days in one rotation of Earth.
At what point did you become the wisest human, Gene Ray?
Well, I've learned everything. When you know everything, there's nothing to know.
Okay, well, now, you said you're getting ready to write a book on it. When can we expect to see it?
No, I don't have a publisher yet. A lot of morning touch it. And so...
you touch it in the morning?
Well, sometimes, not much.
Yeah. How old are you, Dr. Gene Ray?
I'm 78. Well, I told this black lady down in St. Pete, I said, when you die, you're going to come back as a white person. I said, I'm going to come back as a black person. I'm going to hate you honkies.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want. The live Sunday edition here. Toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you in studio, Ian here.
Jonny Ray.
And Darryl.
Don't forget, if you want to help Free Talk Live, go shopping with us at shop.freetalklive.com. You enter Amazon through the links you'll find there, and Free Talk Live gets a percentage, a portion of the sales. And it's a different way to buy. Obviously, we talked about Save It Purse for people with cryptocurrency. But if you aren't willing to spend your cryptocurrency and you just want to shop normal, then you go to shop.freetalklive.com and Free Talk Live gets a cut of the sale. Very, very simple, and it makes a difference for us. So, once again, shop.freetalklive.com. Jonny Ray, you had one more comment on Economics in One Lesson, Chapter 12, the chapter about exports, before we go on to more calls.
Sure. The prevailing opinion today, and probably in 1946, is that exports are preferable to imports. And and Donald Trump wants to fix our economy so that we're sending more than we're getting. Mm-hmm. But the way that I look at it is that imports are the things that we can't get,
or
that we can't produce
price
ourselves, or get at the best price. Mm-hmm. And exports are the things that we've got, a surplus of,
right?
Because we're especially good at producing this, so we've got all this extra stuff. So if we're importing more in value than we're exporting, then that is a good deal. But Donald Trump wants to reverse that. He wants to, and every politician today, they want you to be, because it's the accepted wisdom today, even though I think it's wrong, they want you to be working harder and sending more out and getting less back. Imports are great. You have to have exports to pay for your imports, but imports are that's the exotic stuff that you can't get on your own. I look at it.
In that case, you're exporting your cash. You're exporting your money to get those imports, and the people around the world desire that money. If they didn't, you'd have trouble like Venezuela, where nobody wants the Venezuelan bolivar. They want business from Venezuelans, but they don't want the country's currency because it's been too debased.
A big part of the chapter is, like you said, tied up in what I think complexities that are specific to our countries. I don't think we should have countries. I think that we should just be dealing with each other on an individual basis, and that having countries and different currencies and so forth just confuses the matter.
I think so.
But if you look at things at the household level, then imports and exports, things make a little more sense the way that Hazlitt explains them than when you start trying to collectivize everybody into a nation that has the potential to throw things really off kilter.
Let's talk to Pam. She's in Wisconsin, listening to WCLO in Janesville. Hey, Pam.
Hi.
Hey, welcome.
I have a son that's working. He just got sent to Australia, working with the insurance company for this Bitcoin, and I just set up a wallet on the internet for it, although I don't have internet. But what I understand is that there's our biggest problem is in taxes and in interest. And
I am a little confused. Hold on, before you go on, you said that you got a Bitcoin wallet, but you don't have internet. Yes. And
well, yeah, I'm kind of calling him. He's calling me. He just left. He's been set up for this.
Okay, but you pretty much, I mean, you can have a Bitcoin wallet with no internet, and like you can have what's called a paper wallet where you print out a QR code, and then you can have people send Bitcoin to your wallet. But ultimately, to actually access that Bitcoin to do something with it, like use it to buy something or transfer it to your son or whatever it was you wanted to do with it, you will at some point have to get online.
Correct.
Right, I will.
Okay.
And I didn't, all I did was set it up.
Okay.
It started. It's a Wall Street deal, isn't it?
No.
Is it sold on Wall Street right now?
No, not that I know.
I think the Winklevoss twins did get some kind of like hedge funds or ETF or something.
But Bitcoin itself is not traded.
Bitcoin itself is not
well,
traded.
It started at 12 cents per Bitcoin or per whatever 1 unit of.
It actually started at near zero.
The very first transaction
it's up
was
to 900 now.
Yes, that's correct. That's
the
correct.
very first recorded Bitcoin transaction was somebody sent 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 large pizzas.
Yeah, that's right. And that was way back. So what was the other point you were making there? So I kind of missed that.
Well, it has to do with making a contract for the original amount that you want to give for product or services. And there's a real interesting book on the New York Times bestselling author, John Sanford and Stein, called Saturn Run. And it's fictional, but it's so right on with this Bitcoin philosophy of you make a contract, and because you can only, it's like, it has to do with the numbers of the zeros for the amount of Wi-Fi that can be used, and it's only trillion.
I got to say that I'm a fairly technically adept person, and the words you're throwing out together don't make any sense to me. So I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe you're pretty new.
You understand that when in 2000 they thought they were going to have the Wi-Fi shut down or the computer.
You're talking about the end of the year, 1999 to 2000.
The Y2K.
Yeah, the Y2K bug, as it was called. That had nothing to do with Wi-Fi, so I can understand why you're kind of throwing out some terms.
No, it had to do with the zeros in the amount of currency that could be used.
No, it had to do with the
another.
date on the computer, and that some computers were only programmed to have a 2-digit date to reflect the year rather than a 4-digit date. And so a lot of computer kind of back ends had to be upgraded. The software had to be changed in order to handle that. It had absolutely nothing to do with Wi-Fi or zeros in currency or Bitcoin, which didn't come out until nearly a decade later in 2008, 2009 range. So it seems that you do have some concepts maybe a little mixed up here, but I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's great that you're getting into Bitcoin. Bitcoin.
I've got a wallet, and it cost me. In fact, Nate said this that I bought 1 Bitcoin. I know it's in series of 3s.
Nope.
I bought one for $10.65.
When was this?
What?
When did you do that?
It was, let's see, 2 or 3 days. No, it had to have been.
All right, well,
okay, so again,
Pam, if something like that happened, then you probably bought $10 worth.
Yeah, so you already pointed out.
No, I only have 1 Bitcoin.
No, hold on, Pam. You already pointed out moments ago in your call that Bitcoin is worth $900 per Bitcoin, and then you just said you paid $10 for a Bitcoin. Right. So no,
that's because I know, but he's the one that's setting it up. He's in Australia with this.
I gotcha. It just, it's okay. It's a new idea. I'm not trying to come down on you, Pam. I'm just saying you've got some confusion here. You can't buy a $900 Bitcoin for $10. So you probably bought $10 worth of a Bitcoin, which you can do. You can take Bitcoin down to 8 decimal points if you need to. And what I'd recommend that you do is brush up a little bit. Go to Bitcoin.com.
Yeah, it's 8 decimal points.
That's
now,
right.
listen, that's why I want you to read this John Sanford.
No, I'm not going to have time for it, but thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate it. So anyway, maybe somebody else out there will take her recommendation. But if you want to actually learn about Bitcoin, you should go to Bitcoin.com. It's a great kind of introduction website that explains the basics of Bitcoin. There's a nice, easy-to-watch video on there. And there is a learning curve when it comes to this stuff. One of the reasons why there's so much confusion out there is because if somebody goes off half-cocked thinking that they know something about Bitcoin and they're throwing out terms like Wi-Fi and zeros and $10 per Bitcoin, that was a very confused phone call as far as the topic of Bitcoin.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that she's got a wallet. That's a good first step. But make sure you at least have a grasp of what it is you're getting into. And also, of course, make sure you back up your wallet so you don't ever lose access to your Bitcoin. There's more coming up on Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought you'd like to flip houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? Are you ready to be your own boss so you can start living the good life? Hi, I'm Preston Neely. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity turned off 9 times, but I figured out a way to quit my job and find financial freedom in real estate. For a limited time, I want to send you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It shows you how to copy exactly what I did so you can make money from the comfort of your own home without even doing any manual labor. I've already given away 5,000 books and they're going fast. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-3494. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. It's short, fun to read, easy to understand, and awesome. To find out how to get your free book while supplies last, call 1-800-960-3494. Call 1-800-960-3494. 1-800-960-3494.
Do you trust the economy? How about our banking system? Our president states that we're sitting on a bubble right now, and when the Fed raises interest rates, bad things are going to happen. Well, the Fed is outlining rate hikes here and now. There's never been a better time to turn your IRA into physical gold with GSI Exchange. 800-261-5570. That's 800-261-5570. GSI Exchange can make this happen fast, and it's money you control, not the big banks. 800-261-5570. Ask about our Gold and Silver Investors Guide and learn how your qualified IRA transfers can get you $1,500 in free physical gold or silver delivered right to your home. GSI Exchange has an A-plus rating on the Better Business Bureau, too. Get the security for your money now. Call GSI Exchange at 800-261-5570. 800-261-5570. That's 800-261-5570.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $3 lower at $1,186 per ounce. Silver is 3 cents lower at $16.82 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $918 US. With all eyes on a 20,000 Dow number, metals have slipped this week. To take advantage and buy on this dip, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, you may dial toll free in these remaining moments and join us here on the radio waves for this live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. With you in the studio tonight, I'm Ian.
I'm Jonny Ray.
And I am Darryl.
And we invite you to the website, freetalklive.com. You know, all the features are free there. You can create the content on the front page of the site. You can vote it up, vote down what you like, or vote up what you like, vote down what you don't like. Over there at freetalklive.com, there's a webcam that you can watch when we're live. You can watch the archives later if you want. You can download archives in MP3 form that go back for a decade. There's a ton of features for free over at freetalklive.com. But if you want to get behind the show and what we do here, then please become a Free Talk Live amplifier. It takes only a moment of time to go and sign up with any major credit card through PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Bitcoin, available right there directly on the site at amp.freetalklive.com. Plus, you get perks. Some cool perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, AMP-only podcast, the AMP-only Facebook group, which is, in my opinion, the only reason I'm staying on Facebook at the moment. I swear I would love to delete my Facebook, but I feel like I would not be doing a service to the fans of the show if I did that. So I feel like I'm stuck there, thanks to the AMP-only Facebook group.
So I've got an interesting question here, and you probably don't know the answer. If you deactivate your personal Facebook account, would you still be able to update the Facebook page for Free Talk Live?
Not with my own account, no.
Okay.
No. It's a reason to use Facebook. It's one of the ones keeping me there. It's because it's good, because it's actually a good group. There's actually posts there on a daily basis, and many of them useful and interesting. So if you want to get access to that, join the AMP program at amp.freetalklive.com, amp.freetalklive.com, and help us out. We really do appreciate it. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. Dave is in Colorado Springs. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, boys, girls, and assorted malcontent.
Dave, you're still out there in Colorado? How many weeks you been out there now? It seems like a couple months.
More than 3 weeks, but I'll be back in a few days.
All right. This is Dave Ridley, by the way, from RidleyReport.com. Longtime caller to Free Talk Live, one of the most dedicated liberty activists in the state of New Hampshire, having been here, living here most of the year, goes up to Colorado to visit family on a yearly basis. And sometimes you get a little bit of hot water with the government goons up that way. Dave, whatever ended up happening when you got thrown out of that library, I think that was one of the last times you called into the show. You were trying to go and record what was ostensibly a public meeting, and the goons, security goons in the library, gave you a hard time and tossed you out. You got video of it that you put up over at RidleyReport.com on your YouTube channel. But what ended up happening there after the fact?
Well, the videos never got taken down. There was an attempt on the part of, according to one of the library brass who answered questions from a reporter, he said that some of his people had filed a privacy complaint and tried to get the one or more of the videos taken down. However, that was unsuccessful, and all 6 videos are still up, and the series is, I guess, the number of hits on the series is about 200,000.
Excellent. So what's the latest? What's going on with you? What are you calling about?
This is unrelated to that. There is a bill coming up at the State House in New Hampshire on February 1st. In fact, a lot of interesting bills, but the one that I'm particularly interested in, being an NH exit person, is the sovereignty resolution. And if you recall, in 2009, there was a thing called HCR 6, which was a resolution sort of based on the Kentucky resolutions of 1798 that helped protect the country from the Alien and Sedition Acts. And this resolution got a crowd of about 300 people, and it was a very lively scene, and it did not pass in 2009, but it's coming back up again on the 1st will be the hearing. And just wanted to request if people can. I won't be back.
Okay, so what is this doing? I'm sorry, not clear on what this proposal is for this year.
It's basically the same as the one in 2009, which just basically outlines conditions under which the United States federal government is not allowed to interact with the states. You can't do this to us. You can't do that to us.
And how many of those things are already being done? How many of the conditions are already being met by the treatment of the federal government?
I don't know the number of things they're doing, but it's more than one. I'm pretty sure. I have read the whole resolution, and it for one thing it mentions is martial law, which I don't think technically they're not really doing that to us. But in practice, you know how it is in the United States. They don't necessarily they don't call it what it is. They call it something else, but it's martial law, right? Or they call it something else, but it's interdiction of trade. Or they call it something else, but it's a war. That's their way.
Now, isn't a resolution pretty much useless? Isn't it just them saying, we, the legislature, declare that, so on and so forth, about the federal government? Not that anything will actually happen out of it. It's more of like a temperature taking of the state house, basically.
Right. Well, it wasn't useless in 1798. The Kentucky resolutions were effective, and the best indicator of that is the way they were denounced by George Washington, where he said these resolutions, if passed, would lead to disunion.
Okay. I mean, I'm not against...
But again, the resolution in and of itself has no teeth.
I don't think so. I didn't see any teeth in it. But the thing is, we conducted I conducted a poll on our Facebook group at NH Exit, and I asked, what do people want? There are three options I can see at the State House. One would be a secession bill of some sort. One would be a constitutional amendment secession. And then the third would be maybe a reintroduction of this HCR 6 that was so popular. And the overwhelming response from the NH Exit activists was they wanted to see a reintroduction of HCR 6. They've got that now. So it's up to us to do what we can to let people know it's happening and back it up. It wouldn't have been my preference. I'm in favor of a constitutional amendment at this point because then the people get to vote on it.
Right. Yeah, me too.
And I think actually the bigger hearing on Wednesday, 10 a.m. is on constitutional carry that's already passed the Senate.
Yep.
And
that's going to be packed.
That's going to be packed. That's in Reps Hall, so that's where the 400 reps meet.
Right.
At 1 o'clock, the same time as the hearing for this HCR that Dave called in about, is cannabis decrim. And then at 2 o'clock is taxation and regulation of cannabis.
Well, this is why we need to have multiple activists in the State House on a weekly basis, far more than we currently do. I mean, there's a core group of folks that amount to about 3 or 4 people per day will come out from Keene. We carpool out there and then speak on various places, and we can kind of split up, so we can go into different rooms. But there's 20-something committees there.
26 committees in the House and 12 in the Senate, unless they've added 1 or 2.
Right. So ideally, as you've said, Darryl, what we need is somebody to kind of adopt every one of those committees, and be there regularly and pay attention to what goes on there and try to kind of round people up to the most important bills. And so I appreciate you paying some attention, Dave. Are you going to be back in time to come speak on that on Wednesday, or are you still going to be out in Colorado?
No, I won't be back in time. I'm doing what I can electronically. But one thing to mention is that one of the guys from the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance says that this is going to be one of the biggest days of the year in that building. So it's really an important, even if you're not interested in the resolution, it's a really important day, if possible, to get to the State House and testify on bills or.
Well, much of our audience needs to get here to New Hampshire is step number 1, and if they love liberty, they really ought to get on up here. Dave, you've been here longer than all of us in the room, and obviously you like it here, right? I mean, this has been a good move for you to New Hampshire.
No, it's the best move I ever made.
So people want to learn more, if you are a liberty-minded person, if you're a voluntarist, if you're a liberty-loving anarchist, if you're a libertarian, you really owe it to yourself to check this movement out. There's a lot of success that we've already had, and there's more still to come. You can go to 101reasonsfilm.com, check out an hour-long documentary that shows why New Hampshire is already the freest place in the United States and why it's going to be even better as thousands more libertarians move here. Go ahead, Dave.
I forgot to mention, if you want information about the hearing, you just go to nhexit.com, and it's posted there.
Excellent. Dave, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. There was actually a news release that I sent out today. Conan and I are the two chairmen of the New Hampshire Liberty Party, which was a party that Darryl, you and Conan and I founded back in 2012 to provide some competition, much-needed competition, to the New Hampshire Liberty Party, to the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, which was kind of languishing at that time. And since then, you've been elected as chairman. Roger Paxton, who was also a Liberty Party member, was elected as vice chairman of the Libertarian Party in New Hampshire. And you guys have managed to turn that ship around in, I think, a really exciting way. And so Conan and I did release a news release today to media and online that we are endorsing cautiously the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. We're going to keep an eye on things, make sure you guys stick to principle. And we'll be joining up with the Libertarian Party and joining forces from the NH Liberty Party.
Nice.
So So looking forward to some of the cool announcements coming in the near future. Check those out at lpnh.org. More coming up tomorrow night, freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of brown rust stains on your toilets, sinks, and clothes? Does your water smell and taste bad? Don't live with these problems anymore. Hydrocare's revolutionary well water systems, available at Wave Home Solutions, gives you clean, healthy, great-tasting water from every faucet. They remove iron, hydrogen sulfide, sediment, and many other contaminants that are distasteful and damaging your fixtures. You'll be amazed how fresh and clean well water can be. Satisfaction guaranteed. Go to bestwater123.com. That's